Today we are doing a full first impressions deep dive into the Details by Tati makeup brushes. I'm going to be unboxing all 3 sets. I want to use most of the brushes for the first time on camera and give you my real honest thoughts on these brushes as I do my makeup. If you're new here, I've been doing makeup tutorials on YouTube for about 10 years now, and I'm extremely picky with my makeup brushes. I have tried so many different brands and just shapes of brushes over the years. I've collabed with Sigma Beauty on a couple favorite sets, and then earlier this year I collabed with Sigma on a custom eye brush set where I designed 6 eyeshadow brushes. So I feel like I know makeup brushes pretty well. And for the past few years on my channel, I've been using mostly Sigma Beauty brushes and BK Beauty brushes. Those 2 brands are such high quality brushes. Their brushes last years and years with continuous use and washing. They don't shed, they don't fray, they stay soft, and I love the shapes that they have. So when I saw that Tati was launching makeup brushes, I was definitely intrigued because you guys know how much I love the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette that she came out with when she had her beauty line, Tati Beauty. I was so sad to see that brand close down, and like it's just really cool to see Tati she keeps trying, like she keeps going, and I really respect that about her. So just the other week I was using the Tati Beauty palette because I was doing my 12 days of tutorials where you guys voted on palettes and you guys wanted to see a video with that. So I was editing that video and I was like thinking about her brushes and I was like, I want to try her brushes. So I just quickly sent Tati a little DM on Instagram. I didn't know if she was gonna respond. Her and I have like chatted, I think a tiny bit. I think she knows who I am, but I just kind of like explained myself, who I am, what I do, and I was like, hey, I want to try your brushes, and she's like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love for you to try them. So she ended up sending me all 3 sets, and to be totally clear, this video is not sponsored in any way. I am not paid to talk about these brushes. I'm doing this because like I'm genuinely excited about it. So I'm super excited to use these brushes, but as I use these brushes, I do want to compare them to any Sigma brushes or BK Beauty brushes that I think are similar, so we can really see how they compare. So let's unbox everything, talk about what's in the brush sets, and get into doing my makeup with these brushes. So we have 3 brush sets. We have the Essentials, the Expansion, and the Specialty set. Each set comes with 7 brushes and it's packaged in this bag like this, and I gotta say, I love this packaging. I love how simple it is. I did watch Tati's video on her brushes because I really wanted to just know her thought process behind, you know, creating the shapes and everything, and she talked a lot about the details, and I could relate a lot to that when I was creating my custom eye brush set with Sigma. Like in my launch video, I went over how I thought of like every single detail for those brushes. So I can totally relate to Tati, and I can see where her mind was. But she was saying how she wanted simple packaging for the brushes, and I totally agree because I can specifically remember Sigma had this brush packaging one time. This was years ago, probably like 2016, 2017, but they would package an individual brush in this triangle shaped plastic tube, and it was so hard to open. It was so much extra packaging. It felt just so wasteful, a lot of plastic. So I love just how easy, slim, and lightweight this is because like this is gonna go in the trash anyways. And then on the back we have a little visual of all 7 brushes in here. So I'm gonna start with the Essentials set since this is kind of like the first complete brush set. Okay, this is my first time actually like feeling and touching these brushes because I really wanted to get my first impressions on camera. Let me just pull all 7 of these out here. Again, I love this too because you can just recycle this. I'm excited to have them in my hands now. Okay, but these are pretty though. Okay, this weight is nice on this face like powder brush. Okay. Oh, it is a first edition one. That's fun. She was saying that, oh, what did she say? Something about how like the first launch or batch of brushes are gonna say first edition on it. So, oh, that's fun. But yeah, the weight feels really good on these. I do really like the handle. It's like this matte, is it dark gray or is it black? It's almost like dark gray, kind of like the Tati Beauty color. Whenever I get a new brush, I always just like go like this to feel the bristles, and like this does feel really, really soft. This is a small face powder brush. I do this too because I want to just see how it feels on my face. This is the one that I'm gonna be most intrigued by. This is such a unique shape. Oh my gosh. What is this, like a octagon or something? How many sides does this have? 4, 5, 6. Not an octagon, that's a hexagon. Right? Oh yeah, hexagon is a 6-sided polygon. I know my geometry. I genuinely have not seen a shape like that before. I have seen like rounded, I've seen like curved, but to have 6 sides like that, like that's really cool. These do feel really soft. Like I'm excited to try these on my face, but I want to quickly go over the 7 brushes that you get in this set. First is the ES1. This is like a large powder brush. And then we have the ES2, which Tati uses for foundation. This I think is going to be one of the most unique brushes out of her entire line, because this I have not seen before, where it's this like really, really thin short paddle kind of brush where you're supposed to swipe on the foundation and then use this side to buff it in. I'm super excited to try this. Don't know if I'm gonna like it though, honestly. We have ES3, which is a small powder brush. Wait, shouldn't there be 7 brushes? I just spent so long looking for this brush. I literally thought my set was missing a brush and I was like, how does that make sense? It came in this like closed packaging. Somehow this one flew and like into an open drawer. That's really funny because I was sitting here holding these 3 eye brushes and I was like, this isn't a really good eye set. Like this is missing a fluffy brush. It was missing a fluffy brush. I found it. I think this is a pretty decent eye brush set. I do like that we have a fluffy brush, and this one is kind of different than ones that I typically use. It comes to quite a bit of a point at the top here with pretty long bristles, but that feels really soft at the top. I'm excited to try that. That one is ES4, and then ES5 is like this really thin flat shader brush. This is typically a concealer brush. Like I would use this for like spot concealing. You can totally use this to pack shadow on the eyelid. And then we have ES6, which is like just a small little shadow brush. I like this shape a lot because it almost looks like a pencil brush, but it does have a little bit of a flatness to it, but it's not too flat. It actually is kind of unique than what I've seen before. And that's what I'm kind of looking for in these brush sets, is uniqueness, just because I feel like everyone has makeup brushes. Like there's been so many makeup brushes out there for so many years at this point. So I really wanted to see what newness could Tati bring to the table, because I was really hoping that these brushes weren't going to seem like brushes that she just picked out of a catalog, you know, but so far these do seem like unique shapes that she actually kind of worked on a bit. And I can tell that just by looking at the shapes of these brushes, because these are definitely unique shapes. And the last brush is a little brow brush. Not my favorite brush. Like I could have done without this, but I don't really use brow products like this. Like I use a brow pencil in my routine, but I do really like this spoolie, and this brush is really, really lightweight. Like this kind of feels like nothing, but I think that would be really nice for brows. I would use something like this for a liner too, if you want to do like a little winged liner, a shadow with a gel, whatever you please. That's the essential set. Let's do some makeup. I need to start with this ES2 foundation brush because this is so different and unique. So let me show you how Tati used it. I'm gonna use my Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation. I'm gonna pick up some foundation, and she like did this. Okay, wait, this feels like really satisfying on my face though. This feels like I'm like actually painting because you can like really see where I'm putting that. And then I think you flip the brush over to this more buffing side and just kind of buff in the foundation. Does that look really nice? Yes, but I feel like it's a little bit gimmicky as a foundation step, because the foundation brush that I typically like to use is something like this. This is the BK Beauty 115. They have a smaller size, the 109, or even the bigger size, the 101. But this general kind of slight angled, really soft brush, this just kind of feels like an extra step to me, having to swipe on the foundation and then buff it in, where you could use something like this and really just tap it in yourself, or even, I guess, just use this side. But what I do like this kind of sharp angle for will be like cleaning up the eye area. I think that'll be really good for that like later on in my routine. Yeah, because this just feels like it takes more time. This side of the brush is really, really soft though, and I like the density of it. I'm gonna use this side of the brush to apply my foundation and see how this feels. Another thing I don't really love about this brush, and this is just kind of a me thing, is that I don't really like a double-ended brush because of the way I store my brushes. I don't know about you guys, but most people that I know store their brushes like upright in a cup like this. So if you have a dual-ended brush, that means that one of the sides is going into this like kind of somewhat dirty cup. I mean, my cups are kind of dirty. And then I'm sticking that on my face. Like, I don't know. It's just, there's no really good way to store these kind of brushes. I do gotta say that this brush is applying my foundation beautifully. I have no streaks or anything. Like, it's buffing in really well. And yes, I think this brush is unique, but it's not one that I see myself continuing to use. Like, I'm gonna stick to my BK Beauty 115 for my foundation. I do really like this feeling though of painting my face. Like, this is a very satisfying movement. Also with the BK Beauty brush, because of that angle, you're able to get in those harder places, like around your nose, around your eyes, just in those curves of your face. You can't really do that with this brush because you're kind of stuck with these harsh, big angles and lines. Like you don't really have any soft angles to work with here. Now for spot concealing my face, there are two brushes that could totally work. The ES5 or the ES6. Now the ES5 is very similar to the brush that I currently use to spot conceal. It's one of the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brushes. It's the A505. They are both thin, but the BK Beauty one does come to a little bit more of a point there. Or if you want something a little rounder, you could use this brush for concealer as well, but I'm gonna use the ES5. I know in her video she said that she uses this brush to pack on like shimmer or metallic shadows, but whenever I'm using those shadows, I just prefer to use my finger because I think that your finger picks up those kind of shadows better than any kind of brush. But this brush itself is a very basic brush. I would say like pretty much every brand carries this kind of shape. Not unique at all, but it is a good like basic brush to have in your collection if you don't already own it. And I'm gonna use a foundation brush just to buff in that concealer. The brush that I normally use for this step would be my brush that I created with Sigma. This is my AB1 base brush, just because I like something a little bit smaller and fluffier to blend in my concealer, but this works. Just not my preferred method, but I can totally make do. I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I want to do under eye concealer, but really none of these brushes would be good at blending out like smaller areas of your face, like around your eyes, your eyelid, because this flat one is better at applying concealer, not really blending it out. I'm wondering if I should open up the next brush set and keep going and kind of see what other brushes we have to work with. All right, let's see what the expansion set has. There we go. This is kind of what I wanted. Something like this for smaller areas of the face. And this is a unique shape too. Okay, let's work with this. It is the EX4. So like I just said, for under my eyes, blending out concealer, I use my brush like this. But this one is similar. It just has an angled shape to it, but it's still gonna have those really soft bristles. I'm excited for this one. I will say though, Sigma did come out with this brush earlier this year, last year. It is the F72. It's the soft angled concealer. If you put these two side by side, you can see they're really similar with that shape. Even just feeling these two fibers, honestly, the Tati one feels softer to me. But another angled brush that I really like for under the eyes that a lot of you might already have is the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy, the A506. This was a very viral brush. So it's not gonna be fluffy like this one, but it's still gonna have that same angled shape to it that fits really nicely under the eyes and in those smaller areas. I'm gonna take this Tati EX4 with some under eye brightener just under my eyes here. Ooh, this feels really soft. Yeah, I wish this brush was in the first set. That's kind of missing for me with a full face of makeup. If I'm calling something an essential set, like having a brush like this is an essential step to me. Yeah, this fits beautifully around the eye area though. The weight of her brushes is nice too. Like I can definitely feel that this part of the brush is heavier than the handle, which just like naturally feels really good in your hand. And I do like that the handles come to a very slight taper. I want to do some cream blush here, so I want to see what brushes we have. I think I want to try this EX2 brush. This one feels really soft. I like the small shape, but this one immediately reminded me of this BK Beauty one. This is the 106. Yeah, you can see they are very similar with that kind of small rounded shape there. I mean, size-wise, they're pretty dang close. They're both so soft though. Like I could not tell you which brush is which. So I'm taking one of my favorite cream blushes and let's blend this out. Oh yeah, this is so soft. I don't know, I like how this one feels. I can see myself using this brush more. I like it. I'm gonna do a little bit of cream bronzer, so same brush. Okay, as I'm using this brush, it is a little bit more different than the 106 than I thought. The bristles on this brush have a little bit more give to it, which I actually prefer, especially when I'm doing like my Especially when I'm doing my cream products, because I kind of press it and it makes like a little bit of an angle. Whereas on this BK Beauty one, I feel like these bristles are a little bit stiffer. Like they're still soft, but you mostly have to use the tip of this brush, where with this one, I can kind of use the side a little bit more. So I don't know, I'm liking this one a lot. And she's adding more blush. Now I'm gonna do a little under eye concealer, going back to that angled EX4 brush. Yeah, I'm really liking the weight of these brushes. Again, with that Sigma one, where'd it go? It's kind of hard to explain, and the average person might not really care about this. But as someone that just like has a passion for makeup and doing makeup, like I care about this stuff. Like these have a very similar head, right? But if I'm feeling the weight of the brushes, it's like the weight of the Sigma one is distributed throughout the brush. Like the brush weighs kind of the same no matter what. But with the Tati one, like I can clearly feel that the weight is in this part of the brush with the head, and it just really makes a difference in how the brush feels in your hand and like how I'm able to work with it. I don't know, it's really weird, but I like it. And then I like to go back to my blush brush and just do a quick blend right here. Now I want to add some powder to my face, so I have a couple options here. So in the Essential set, we had that large powder brush and also that smaller powder brush. And then in the Expansion set, we have more of a flat brush like this that would be better at just like pressing in powder. Personally, I like these shapes better for my powder. I want something fluffy and round that's going to have give to it. And I do really like that she has two sizes of powder brushes in the Essential set because I do think these are both essential brushes. So I'm going to take that ES3, the smaller powder one first, and just kind of set my eye area. Yeah, this is great for just setting any smaller areas of your face. I can also see myself using this brush for blush too, for like powder cheek products. So just a really good, just multitasking powder brush. And again, I'm still looking to see if any of these bristles are gonna fall on my face, and I haven't had any shedding so far. Then I'm just gonna use that larger powder brush to set the rest of my face. You could also use this big brush for bronzer too if you like to have that bronzy look, just like cover your entire forehead, you know, kind of side of your face. But I do think everyone needs a good big fluffy powder brush. For this step, I've been using the Sigma F24 for the past, I don't know, a couple years now, so very, very similar. It's a fluffy powder brush, they're gonna be pretty similar. But Tati's small powder brush I do really like, and I don't really have a Sigma brush that is exactly like this. The closest thing I could find is if the F12 that I use for blush sometimes and the F35 like had a baby. That would make this. So I do really like the shape and size of this small powder brush. So the other brush she has in the Expansion set is this more kind of flat, almost paddle powder brush. And to be honest, this is not my favorite shape of brush. I've tried some similar ones from BK Beauty and Sigma, and I just never really reach for them. This one I did use for a while, but I don't know, this one is just kind of replaceable. It's the BK Beauty Nicola Rose N17. This one is dual-sided here. You can use creams on this side, powder on this one. So this is the Tati one. They both kind of have that flat paddly shape. I don't know with this one. I think you can use creams or powders. Also in the Extension set, we have this fun little angled fluffy fan. It is the EX1. This is another brush where I'm like, I don't really use this type of brush in my routine. I know that Sigma has had one like this before. It's a little bit bigger, it's wider, fluffy. I don't have one out with me right now. But then BK Beauty and Nicola Rose have this N18, very similar vibe. The BK Beauty one is larger and kind of more like, I don't know, an exaggerated fan shape, but I think like these are kind of meant for the same purpose, you know? Like this is really meant to give you that like chiseled contour look, but that's not what I'm doing in my makeup routine. So I don't really see myself using this brush either. And then we have 3 eye brushes in the Expansion set. We have another fluffy blending brush. This one is different than the one in the Essential set. Trying to get Essentials and Expansion not mixed up. The Essentials one is a pointier, where the Expansion one is kind of like what I typically use in my videos. This is going to be really similar to my fluffy blending brush, like the Sigma E35, Tati's, mine, Sigma E35. Like this is your classic fluffy blending brush shape. I love this shape of brush. And then this one I'm really excited about. This is the EX6. This is a tiny little brush. It feels so lightweight in my hand. And this has such a unique little angle to it. Like I have not seen a brush this shape before. I'm really excited to try this for like lower lash line, outside of the corner, or just like building up shadow right here, or maybe even the inner corner too. Yeah. Oh, this is kind of nice. This is different. And then we have the EX7, which is just another tiny, tiny angled brush. This kind of brush we have seen before. BK Beauty has the 208, which is another just tiny angled brush. I think Sigma has their, what is it? E08. So I wouldn't really call this brush unique. I feel like a lot of people already have this small angled brush in their collection. I do really like how lightweight this feels in my hand, which is very important when you're doing like a gel liner, because you want to be able to just like nicely flick that out with the lightweight brush. Let's open the specialty set before I finish my makeup and see what else fun tools I have to work with here. Do I have 7? Yes. So the specialty set is supposed to be for like the makeup pros and experts, people who want something fun, new, and different. Like the beginners of makeup probably don't need these brushes, but I want to see what we're working with here. So first we have the SP1. This reminds me a bit of like the Sigma F80 flat kabuki brush that we were all using in 2014. But this does kind of feel softer, has more give to it, but it's giving me that kind of vibe. Is this a duo fiber brush? I don't remember. I mean, I didn't get to use this one today, but like I said earlier, I'm pretty dang happy with my BK Beauty 115 for my foundation. And we had that other foundation brush in the Essential set, so that dual-sided one. So these two are different, where it's like this one has more give to it. This one's a lot denser, but again, not my favorite shape for foundation. This is what I want to use. Then we have SP2, which is a small angled face brush. This one reminded me of the BK Beauty 112, which I have been loving recently for blush and just like smaller areas of my face. Yeah, these two are definitely similar. I almost feel like, I don't know, the Tati one has more bristles in it, but I do like the shape of brush a lot, and this is something I use in my routine. So I'm gonna use that to apply some powder blush. You know, I think this one is a little bit firmer than the BK Beauty one. I almost feel like I would use this one more for like a contour if I was doing that, just because it feels a little bit stiffer as I'm using it. I like the brush, but it's not exactly what I want, and that's okay. Like, I want to use this more for like bronzer. I'm having mixed feelings on this brush. Like, I can get the job done with it, but is it exactly what I want? No. It's still a good brush, but do I think it's going to replace my BK Beauty 112? I don't think so. Next brush in the specialty set is the SP3. This one is definitely a specialty brush. I would see this used more as like for the underpainting, contour, harsh lines kind of bit. Again, not something that I do, and I don't see myself really ever using this brush or what kind of purpose I would need it for. I'm trying to like figure it out. I was trying to think like maybe clean up the edge of shadow, but it's even too big to do that. Like, this is really just a contour brush, and I don't contour. I don't feel like a lot of people contour right now, honestly. Why we have so many contour brushes, because in the expansion set we have that EX1 brush. So again, both steps I don't really do. If I were to do it, I would use this one for like creams and this one for powder, but it's not 2016 anymore. But again, that's why these aren't in the Essential set. That's why these are in the expansion and the specialty set, because these are specialty kind of brushes. This one is very fun and different. This is the SP4. Very unique. I have not seen this before. It looks like she took like your typical like angled fan highlighter brush and kind of smushed it into something else. And that's fun. So I think that's what I would use this for. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, that's that angle right there. Do you see that? It has just the slightest like bloop that actually makes it perfect. Okay, let's highlight. I'm excited. I've been really into this NARS highlighter. The shade is Eros. Oh yeah, I think this is gonna pick up the product beautifully right on the tip, because there's like so many extra long bristles. Oh, okay, here we go. Perfect. Okay. I like that. What's funny is that the last, I don't know, like 2 months or so, I've been using my finger with my highlighter, because I don't know, sometimes I'm just picky, I'm weird, I switch things up, you know? I just all of a sudden started hating every highlighter brush I owned, but this one is unique. I like this, I like how it feels. This one's a winner for me. If you don't like to highlight, another step that's good with a brush like this that just has those like really tiny bristles is just dusting off any eyeshadow that falls on your face. Because whenever that happens, you want to use just the tiniest bit of pressure, because you don't want to press that shadow into your skin. So take a brush that just has the lightest little featheriest fibers on it and go bloop, and that's perfect. So just another way you could use this brush. A fan of the fan brush. And then we have 3 more brushes in the specialty set. We have SP5, which is just like a big fat eyeshadow brush is what I would call this. But I kind of like this shape. How I would use this brush is to like prime my eyes for shadow. I would take like my foundation powder or even like an eyeshadow that was my skin tone and just use that to really press on shadow as like your base shade or just like your all over matte color. This is really nice. I actually like this brush a lot. It's a unique brush, as in, like, I don't see a lot of brands make this kind of shape, but it's a very basic brush, but I like it. Like, I can see myself using this in my routine. And then we have the SP6. Funky little brush. Okay, this one made me think of the BK Beauty Nuclear Rose N16. That's really good for concealer because it's pretty dense here at the base, but has those tiny little bristles. This one, I think, is an eyeshadow brush though. I don't know what to use this brush for. Like a tiny highlighter brush. It's similar to this one that I was just loving for the highlighter because it has those like same little extra bristles at the top here, but it's such an interesting shape. It's not round like a blending brush. I wouldn't pack on shadow with this. I'm just confused. What did Tati say? Oh, that's what she did. She was blending, I see. She was talking about like softening the lower lash line or adding that shadow because these bristles can kind of get like right underneath your lashes as like a little finishing step. Like I can see that, yeah, but like is this absolutely necessary to have this brush for that step? No. But my thought too was like a little highlighter brush because it kind of just looked like a little mini fan brush to me. And the last brush is SP7, which is just a small little blending brush. So a small blending brush like this makes me think of my small blending brush that I made with Sigma, but there is a difference. Mine is a little bit denser with more firmness to it. This Tati one has a lot of give to it. This is actually reminding me of an old Sigma brush. I think it was the E36. And it was this tiny little brush that I would use to like blend the very, very outer corner of my eye. So this Tati one is definitely going to be like a good small blending brush. It just has more give to it. So it's really going to be good at just like softening out little areas. Let's do a quick little eye look with some of these eye brushes. This video is more about the makeup brushes and the actual makeup products and the look I'm doing, but for my palette, I'm gonna use Natasha Denona I Need a Nude, just because I know that you guys love when I use this palette. So I always start off all of my looks with a fluffy blending brush, so I'm gonna take the EX5. I'm gonna pick up Stone, and I'm gonna blend that back and forth in my crease. Wow, this brush is really soft. As I'm using this though, I can definitely tell it's a pretty large blending brush compared to other ones in my collection. I'm gonna compare it to mine with Sigma because this is the one that I've been using with you guys on camera for months now. So you can see the Tati one is kind of bigger. You can tell here with the tip too. But I just wanted to point that out that this is a pretty large blending brush because I actually feel like a lot of people need smaller blending brushes in their collection, not larger ones. Especially people with small eyes or hooded eyes, like smaller blending brushes are gonna be your best friend. But I do know that Tati said in her video that she uses this type of brush to kind of like buff out the edges of her shadow, because we did have this pointed blending brush that was in the first set, but I don't really use a pointed brush like this. I've never really enjoyed these. Sigma had one, I think it's called the E45, and I just never really liked the point of it. Like I want a round fluffy tip for my blending brushes. One brush I do think I'm really gonna like though is this ES6. It's like the perfect mix of a small shader and a pencil brush in one, so this is really nice for like getting under the lower lash line or just building up shadow on the outer corner of the eye. I would definitely call this an essentials eyeshadow brush, so I'm glad it's in the first kit. I really want to try this brush because this one seems really unique. It's the EX6. I love this angle that it has, but it's still like a fluffy brush. I kind of just want to try that with like a deep shade. I just want to try this brush on the outer corner of my eye because I feel like it's going to fit perfectly in this area. Just to like really build up shadow, or even like right along the lower lash line like this. But yeah, I like this for dragging out the shadow because when I kind of do that like shape on my eye, I like to follow the angle of my lower lash line, so this brush just makes it easy to like follow that angle, you know? Yeah, I like that. Now I'm gonna try that pointed blender to kind of blend right here. Do the other side here. Yeah, I love this brush. This is really nice at just like pressing on the shadow, staying really precise. The size of this is perfect. I love the angled shape. Pull this out a little bit and then blending over that again with that pointed blender. Yeah, these blending brushes, they're pretty big, these two. Like these shapes I think are larger than what the average person needs. This is the eye brush that I'm confused by. It is the SP6. I think this is the one that Jen loves, that has been raving about, because there's one brush by Tati that she's been saying like the bristles are so small and she loves it for blending in her crease, and I think it's this one. I just like don't really see a purpose for this brush. Like, I don't know. I want to put a shimmer shade on my eyelid, so I want to try the ES5 brush for this. This is the one that I used for my spot concealer on my face, but Tati says that she likes this for her shimmer shadows. So I'm going to grab Travertine here. Like I said, I normally use my fingers for this kind of step, but you know, let me try a brush. You definitely have a lot more precision with this. Oh, you know when I was using a brush like this? Back when I was doing like cut creases, like when I really wanted that shadow to be just like up against that nice harsh line, this kind of brush was perfect for that. But again, I'm not doing cut creases anymore. Doing a second layer of this shadow. Go back to that pointed blender and just kind of blend right here. Well, I kind of like that for this. Whenever I lay a shimmer shade down, I always blend it out in my crease just because I don't want that harsh line. This is really nice for that because of that point. Like instead of, I wouldn't really apply and blend shadow with this, but maybe just to soften a little area. That's kind of nice. I want to try this weird brush that I'm so confused by for one of these like glittery shades and kind of want to see how that's going to pick up the shadow. Like Delilah. Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm trying to make this brush do something for me, but I don't know what to use it for. I'm gonna grab that tiny little angled brush, the EX7, with that darkest shade and just kind of stamp my lash line. That is a very stiff liner brush, exactly what I expected. This one's also really nice too for staying super close on the lower lash line. I went ahead and did my mascara, so I'm pretty much done with the eyes. I'm just kind of doing some finishing touches now. Putting on a little bit of a lip balm. This is the new Patrick Ta one in Milky Tea. I want to go back to the weird foundation brush from the beginning, and I'm going to wipe off this flat kind of paddle side because what I want to try this for is to like clean up the edge of the shadow. You know, I used that small angle brush to really give me a good edge and this definitely helped, but sometimes I want like a sharp line, or maybe you did like a winged liner and you want to like really clean it up. I want to see if I could use like a powder with this or something, or I guess you could do like concealer if you're at that step. I'm just kind of playing around at this point. So what if I took like a little bit of a powder, you can see it there. Like, would this work to like, I don't know, kind of stamp and clean up shadow? Is that doing anything? Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't have a brush that is this shape that could do this kind of step. And sometimes I do want to do this step on a very glam makeup day. Like I could totally see myself using this for that. It's not like I'm doing that a ton, but I'm just trying to think of other ways to use some of these brushes. Okay, makeup is done now. And before I go over my final thoughts and opinions, I want to go over the price really quick of these sets. So full price, each set is $133.25. Now, when I heard that number, I was like, what? Like, what a weird price. You might not know this, but like I have a business and marketing degree. I had a small business at one point. Like I think about a lot of these things. Why did we not price it at like $129.99? Why not a solid $130? $133.25? Like what? And again, each set is 7 brushes. So if you break down the price that way, that means each brush is a little less than $20. But you have to remember that there is free US shipping on every order. So that means that they most likely factored the price of shipping into the price that they're charging for the product, right? So if I'm looking at the price of this brush set, I know I'm getting free shipping. It's about like $19 per brush. Honestly, I think the price is pretty good compared to like what else is on the market. I was looking on BK Beauty's website and a lot of their face brushes retail between $30 and $40 a piece. Their eye brushes are between $16 and $18, and Sigma's kind of in that range too. I just remember seeing a lot of people saying that the price of this brush set is like pretty high, but honestly, I think it's pretty standard and reasonable for what you're getting. The thing with the brush set is that it's just a really big expense at first, but if you're buying good quality brushes, these brushes should last you years and years with continued washing and using daily and weekly. So if these brushes are something that you want, something you want to add to your collection, and if they are a good quality, I can't really speak to that right now because I've literally only used them for the first time today. I haven't even washed them at this point. So with the way that the brushes feel and with how they perform today, I do think the price is pretty standard to the market. So at this moment, you can only buy the brushes in this set. I do believe in the future Tati wants to sell them individually. At least I hope she does. She probably will. And if I were you, I would wait until these brushes sell individually because I can't really like fully recommend one full set because like it's a lot to recommend, you know, 7 brushes for me to tell you, hey, you should go spend $133.25 on this. Still a weird number. I do think the quality is there though. These do not feel like cheap brushes. I can tell by the weight, I can tell by the fibers, and literally just by the way that the brushes feel in my hand. I didn't get any shedding on my face as I was using them. I have not washed them yet though because again, today was my very first use. But if you want to know how they hold up after a couple washes and more use, I can definitely keep you guys updated. If you've tried these brushes, I want to know which ones you are loving. Let's chat about it in the comments. I want to say thank you again to Tati and her team for sending me these brushes. I had so much fun playing with them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one.